Mr. Vettas, thank you for being with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to be in this panel. Um, just a couple of quick thoughts. I think we should start with what we should never forget, which is the 10 years of the deep Greek crisis, and think about what perhaps did not go well. There were two things at least that did not go well. The one, so that growth eventually was a minus 25% cumulative. One was the lack of finance. We had austerity at the same time with a really long, almost infinite list of reforms, which basically made many of these reforms politically but also economically hard to implement. The second thing was lack of clarity. The expectations were derailed at first, and then they were sometimes on, sometimes off. That drove investors out, that drove people out of the country. Now we have the opportunity to fix these things. In other words, reform the economy, make it more productive, but with some finance that has to be carefully used, and with fixing the expectations. In other words, what sort of an economy we want. That's where the Pissarides report also comes in. It highlights, if you implement a set of reforms, what you can expect in 5 years and then in 10 years from now. Let me just make a couple of points from the whole analysis. One thing to note is that Greece is systematically lacking from the rest of the EU in productivity and in labor force participation. And unless we fix those, we cannot actually move ahead. So everything we do, including how we use the money in the recovery fund, should actually focus on this, systematically increase productivity and labor force participation. That's one. The second thing is that if we are to converge to the EU average and achieve that through growth rates that are high and at the same time improving social cohesion, we cannot just copy what the rest of Europe is doing. We should actually do better than what the rest of Europe is doing in certain fronts, including in how we treat human capital, so that Greece becomes a very strong local hub in Southeastern Europe and Southeastern Mediterranean. Now, this means that we actually have to leapfrog ahead. And in order to do that, and I'm finishing with this remark, the money that one hopes will soon come through the recovery fund and everything that the government plans should actually not only come in a way that strengthens, in quote, the Greek economy, because if we just strengthen what we have right now, we are going to face the same problems 2 or 3 years down the road. It should not just be to cover the wounds that we have from the very deep recession. It should be to prepare the next day. And in fact, assuming that the global economy is going to rebound a few months from now, nobody knows if that's going to be in 2 months or 3 months or 7 months, but it will rebound. Greece has to fight for a much better position in the global division of labor than it had in the last 20 or 30 years.